just quickly, we had ArrayList. This we've already looked at. Okay. Let's say HashSet. We have no idea how this is implemented, and same goes for HashMap in Java. Okay, so let's get a little bit closer to the truth here. Okay, so if you imagine our JVM, this is what we've seen already. So this hopefully is not new information. If you want to create an array list to have a collection of person objects, let's call that array list people. And we have the understanding that, well, really that array list object ultimately contains an array. And then this array is ultimately going to have references to person objects. Okay. And I'll just put in that kind of type hint that these are the person objects. Okay. And this is what we're used to. Okay. So we had this kind of understanding that, well, array lists are really cool, but at the end of the day, it is just using an array. Okay, so it is just an array. And I guess before the 2-week break, we had started to look at arrays as these simple ways of holding a collection of particular objects. Okay, then for HashSet, so this is a little bit different. Okay, we haven't actually seen a super clever way to only contain unique objects, because every time you add something to an array, you're just going to add it in the next position. Okay, and you have this awareness that there's an index, and if there is space, well, we can put something new in there. Okay, but let's say our hash set for unique words, let's take that as our example. So unique words is the hash set. Okay, and again, the hash set is just going to be an object, and this object ultimately is just going to have some type of array. Okay, but what's different? Let's say we want to put something into our hash set. So let's say we have some, I'll break my convention a little bit and put the values out here. Let's have some nice words that we want to put into our hash set. Okay, well, these are strings, so we will of course make these be strings. Okay, but we don't add these into the first available position. Instead, what we do is because they're called hash maps, we use a hash function. Now, we are going to spend a lot of time talking about what hash functions are in the next course. But for right now, one of the ways to think about it is you take some complex object, like a string, pass it through a hash function or hash method, and it is going to return something simple like an integer. Okay, and let's say, for sake of argument, that I pass my string yog into my hash function. The simple answer comes out is, well, that gives us 2. And we can use this as an index position. So then what we can do is say, well, okay, what is our index? We have 0, 1, 2. And this hash function gave me 2 for this. So I should store yog in there. And let's say we do the same thing with yaw. Guess who's practicing their Swedish? And let's say, for whatever reason, we run that through a hash function. We take this complex object yaw and we turn it into an integer. Okay, and that gives us a position 0. Okay, so then we can just say, well, let's store that in there. Okay, now the thing is, if we come along with yet another object, let's say yog again. Okay. And if we want to add this, well, we run this through the hash function and we'll get the same answer. Let's just say, well, you have 2. And then we already have something there. So we know that this already belongs to this collection. We don't extend or do anything else. Okay, so this is kind of the magic of hashing. And we will, of course, spend a lot more time talking about this. But it really gives us this ability to take objects, any object of any type, and just return a simple integer. Okay, and then we use that integer just as a way to pick the index of a plain simple array. So again, we get this nice conclusion that you can model a set just as an array. Okay, and then, wait, didn't really mean to do that, thank you very much. When it comes to hash maps, then we can do the same trick. Okay, let's look at what's going on inside our JVM when we have a hash map. Running out of a little bit of space here. I think you might use a hash map for is to do word frequency. So we want to have a set of words in a document, but we want to count the number of times they appear. So the key in this set will be the actual word, and the value will be the frequency or the count. I don't know which is the better word to use there. So for example, the word the appears in the text maybe 1,024 times for sake of argument. Okay, but to have a hash map in Java, again, we just have a simple object, and this object ultimately is going to, funnily enough, contain some type of array. And then if we have different keys, let me choose a different color for that. These are just going to be objects. Again, we can see the key is the in this case. It's a string, that would be an object, so nothing mysterious there. Okay, so we can have different keys just being different words. And then this time, if we want to find out, okay, what's the value for the word the, let's say that this one is the, okay. Well, once again, if we use hashing, because funnily enough, it's a hash map, so you get a strong hint of how this works. We take the hash of this key, and this will give us a particular integer value. So let's say that became 1 in this case. Well, then we would go to this particular cell. It's not we're going to put that particular key in there, but this cell will reference some other object, which in this case is going to be our value. Okay. So it's a bit harder to see, but then really the set part of our hash map, remember earlier on I said that you have a set of keys and then you have a table of values. This is the kind of theoretical version of a map. The kind of Java version achieves this. Well, we have some set of keys, and then by taking the hash of these keys, it gives us a number. Again, that's all a hash function does. It takes a complex object, returns an integer, which gives us an index position. So in this example, we got the index 0, 1, 2. And then whatever's stored in 1 is the value that we want. Okay. So again, I mean, this is maybe not all the truth, but just an array. Just underline the importance of learning your basic arrays in whichever programming language you use, because pretty much after you have that data structure, you can start to build a lot more complicated things. Okay. Hopefully that wasn't too wild and random.